a crowdfunder page has been launched to help the family of a bloke called Dominic Capaldi, who's 34, who was jailed on Wednesday for 34 months after being caught on video throwing missiles towards mounted cops in Bristol's Castle Park while crowds chanted "Send them back." And this crowdfunding page has already attracted a lot of attention. Among those to donate was Tristan Tate, the brother of the self-proclaimed misogynist Andrew Tate. He's given $2,500. As I said, Capaldi's friend set up this crowdfunder on Friday. The stated aim on the crowdfunder page is to raise £1,000, but by the time I came on air this morning, the target had exceeded that by some margin. I think it's £3,500. The charity page claims Capaldi's sentence was unlawful. It reads, Dom was arrested and rushed through the courts before being handed a 34-month prison sentence for attending a demonstration in Bristol he felt he needed to, relating to the safety of his children's future. Unfortunately, he leaves a wife and children as well as an unpaid mortgage. Please dig deep if you can and help his family through this difficult time. I might suggest he should have thought about his wife and children and his unpaid mortgage before he started picking up missiles to chuck at the police. And there is no mention in the crowdfunder page that Capaldi has actually pleaded guilty. He hasn't offered a defence. He's guilty of these crimes. Now, unsurprisingly, the fundraiser has been met with divided opinion. There's outrage by some on social media. One person wrote, wasn't he throwing stuff at police? Isn't that a crime? Jog on, mate. He was filmed throwing stuff at the police and pleaded guilty to violent disorder, not giving him a dime, you mug, said another social media users. We know that, thanks to Bristol Crown Court, the hearing, that Capaldi's child was turning 7 on the day of his sentencing. So the consequences of offending are going to have a significant impact on his family. The defending lawyer for Capaldi, John Stokes, said it's very sadly a case of hindsight is a wonderful thing. He recognises now with retrospect the foolishness of his actions on that day. Although his mate doesn't seem to, does he? With that sort of dismal defence of the actions that he was doing. It was at a protest throwing rocks at police in order to keep his family safe, or throwing whatever he was at police in order to keep his family safe. Not quite sure of the logic on that, but the question, I suppose, just for all of us to wrestle with is whether we're okay with crowdfunder pages being set up for people who are inside prison. And I immediately, by some of my colleagues said, no, it's absolutely wrong. I was thinking, well, what if, you've got genuine cases of misjustice out there and people raise money to pay for lawyers to tackle that misjustice. We wouldn't want to stop those crowdfunding pages, but I suppose in this case, Capaldi did plead guilty. Is it illegal is the first question I need answering. And for that, I'm very grateful that we've got Liam Kotrie on the phone first, criminal solicitor at Mary Monson Solicitors. Good morning to you, Liam.
Good morning, Matthew.
Is it illegal to raise money for someone inside prison or their family? I mean, let's be absolutely accurate. It's for the family of the man inside prison.
Well, overall, when someone wants to raise money for anything, it has to be done honestly. And if this is being done dishonestly, then it would constitute a crime. Now, I don't believe this crime or allegation is being investigated by the police, so I think we're able to speak freely about it. Under these circumstances, the friend of Mr. Capaldi, who, as you said, pleaded guilty to a serious crime, throwing things at police, terrifying children and families in their homes, whether that home is a hotel or not, it doesn't matter. These were innocent people. If this money is being raised honestly, i.e. to support the family of Mr. Capaldi, who are further innocent victims who have fallen foul of Mr. Capaldi's criminality, then I don't see a crime here. But context is important, and it seems the fundraiser is saying things that don't really seem to be true. Sentenced unlawfully. I'm not sure where he's getting this information, whether he's received proper advice. I suspect he hasn't. We heard Mr. Capaldi say, a lawyer saying, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Well, I suspect Mr. Capaldi knew that it was illegal to throw things at police and terrify children in their homes.
Yes, and it's a very familiar line of mitigation that I've heard, I think, from just about every person that's been convicted as a result of riots. Should, leaving aside, is there a moral issue that the crowdfunding pitch is not entirely accurate or reflective of the legal truth? should the crowdfunder website take it down as the morally correct thing to do?
Well, I've had the misfortune of reading the comments of the people who have added to the fundraiser, and I'm not sure those people really care about the truth looking at it. They will talk about two-tier policing and things like this, and it's clearly fooled by the misinformation that's been gathered by right-wing politicians, bad actors, even the press. These things just don't exist. The police have had I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I am no friend of the police in my work, but I don't envy their job, especially in these times. They have one of the toughest jobs in society. And the way these people are attacking the police who are there to protect us is simply awful. And We've heard about, so he says he has an unlawful sentence. Now, it's true that people have been fast-tracked through the system. Yes. Normal steps that usually would be taken in these circumstances have been missed. For example, no pre-sentence report was prepared by the probation service to assist the court in sentencing. But does that make the sentencing unlawful? I don't believe so. Justice has to be seen to be done. And in these times, these extreme times, certainly over those couple of weekends where those riots took place, it had to be seen to be done for all of us. So we all had that certainty to know what would happen if we found ourselves in those kind of situations. Excuse me. But also that the rest of us who want to feel safe in our homes, and those people being attacked and the police trying to do their job, know that they're being looked after by the system as well.
Ashley's on the line, calling from Dulwich. Good morning to you, Ashley.
Good morning, Matthew. I'm really interested in your idea and love your compassion for this family, right? But there's two issues I have.
Go on.
Would you hold the same compassion if the perpetrator, whose family were asking for money, was an ISIS terrorist and he went about to set fire to a Christian church with people in it?
If the family were not involved in any shape or form, then I don't get me wrong, I'm not entirely sure I approve of the crowdfunding page, Ashley. I'm just not sure. It's not illegal as far as we can work out. No, but if the family weren't involved, I'm not going to prejudice the family because somebody did a worse crime. No, I'm not.
Okay, but here's the point. Would you go out on national radio and say it? But secondly, and I think this is a much bigger point.
I just have.
If it was the other way around. But listen to this. So do the family then deserve to get rewarded, and it is a reward, their family member has committed an atrocious act. Now we're rewarding them. Have we...
But you're punishing the flip of that, Ashley, that just turning that on its head is that you're also, if you take your line, then you're punishing a 7-year-old for the crimes of their horrible father.
If I committed another crime that wasn't in the riot, that's justice. That's how it works. If he went to prison for crashing a car drunk, the 7-year-old would still suffer.
Yes.
Why are we now...
Okay. So let's go with the drunk drive thing. If friends of the drunk driver decided to raise a fundraiser for the 7-year-old child, I'd have exactly the same feelings I have now, actually, which is conflicted, and I'm not entirely sure. I guess... I don't know, Ashley. There you go.
This is where we've got to stop this right now, okay? All of these scenarios that I've just outlined, ISIS, drunk driver, we've got to stop the idea that if someone does something and they get convicted in the eyes of the law, that their family deserve to be heralded. Because what's going to happen is that a murderer will then say, my family needed it because I was a high-flying lawyer, they're used to this lifestyle. We don't know how much this person earned. We don't know how much they're asking for. I think the whole idea is grotesque. The idea that we should be asked or it should be out there. And there's another really, really, really main point that I want to centre on.
Go on.
Because this is a racist incident or it's an incident of violence against the police, we are rewarding that type of behaviour. We are saying to the far right, your family will be looked after because there are people with sympathies to you.
This is true. Now that
punishment needs to run across the whole thing.
Oh, God. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I still... My area of wobble is... You're saying giving the money is essentially rewarding the crime and elevating the family. And I'm just still thinking that the alternative is you punish the child who is innocent. And I know what you're saying about all other crimes, but maybe all other crimes could have fundraising pages, or maybe we have to ban them all. It's got to be one or the other, isn't it? It's got to be good for all or banned for all.
give me one more shot at this, okay?
Go on.
Here's the thing, and this is in the eyes of the public. We always say that personal responsibility is a very conservative principle, and a lot of these people, I think, would be on the right side of politics, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the sense of responsibility that when this guy makes the decision to throw bricks at the police, he knows he's got potential to go to prison, his family are in essence part of him. Why should they, as a family, as a unit, why should he not suffer the consequences of what he does? Here is the problem. It would mean that if you commit a crime in any circumstance, generally you'll have supporters no matter what. The ideology behind this is that there is no extended punishment, which means you don't have to think about your actions. If you don't care about going to prison, my family will still be okay. This may be a mind correct for a lot of people that go out and they think, oh my God, my family are at risk, as opposed to, oh, my family won't be at risk. Okay,
you're winning me round, actually. You're winning me round. I think the fundraising page does, as you said, send a message that we, the far right, the neo-Nazis, the racists, the thugs, are going to look after those amongst us. I think that's a valid point, and that is chilling. That is chilling. Our criminal justice system does not extend the punishment for a criminal's wrongdoing to the relatives and family of that criminal. Now, you make a very strong argument that maybe if these fundraising pages were banned and we heard from family members who are struggling as a consequence of the thuggish behaviour of their loved ones, maybe, as you said, it would send a message to the knuckle draggers and the Nazis to get a life, educate themselves, and stop filling their hearts with hate and fear. I think you might be right.
When I was in my early teens, I'm the oldest of five. My mum was convicted of a crime and went to prison. Went to prison for 5 years. So, and she was a single mum. So we were literally at the mercy of the system. We had an amazing social worker who was able to keep the family together, and there are systems in place to help. We were helped financially. We also had family members that rallied around us to help financially. And for me, as a child of a person who committed a crime, I strongly believe if you commit the crime, you do the time. You knew you had children when you were committing the crime. So, gosh,
Karen, you blow me away, actually. You blow me away with this. You suffered as a direct consequence of your mother's criminal behaviour. And yet you are, I think, saying that you shoulder that burden because your mum was a criminal.
Exactly.
Gosh,
and if my mum was here sitting next to me, she would agree. She's very open about the fact that she did a really, really silly thing and she shouldn't have done it. And the thing that hurt her the most was seeing that her children suffered.
I can't believe
she'll never ever do anything like that again.
I can't believe the sort of selflessness in your thinking. I mean, I just can't imagine the suffering that you must have gone through, particularly in the early days. It must have been horrendous.
Yeah, it was very difficult. And as I said, oldest of five, so the youngest was about 3.
I have to say, I as a taxpayer, I am not happy hearing. I don't like the idea that you had to suffer because you're not a criminal. You haven't,
right.
Your mum was, and I find that uncomfortable. I'm astonished that you will shoulder that and see it in such a crystal clear way.
I understand, and again that goes back to my mother, who I love dearly, but she made a very silly choice Thank goodness there were systems in place. Thank goodness we had a bit of a safety net and we had social services involved. I know they get a bit of a bad
Yes,
rap,
they do.
we had a great social worker
Wonderful.
who did everything in her power to keep all 5 of us together, still living at home. But at the end of the day, my mum did something really stupid, which she shouldn't have done. And because of that, we suffered. So the thought that there's a GoFundMe page, I don't want to say the word rewarding the family. It isn't rewarding the family, but the fact there's a GoFundMe page out there raising funds it is raising funds for somebody who's committed a crime. If the crime was paedophilia or whatever, or anything else along those lines, would there be a GoFundMe page?
See, I still have the view, Karen, that the relatives, including the partner of the person who's done the crime, as long as they haven't, been involved in the crime, conspired as well, they are innocent. And I'm uncomfortable with them suffering. I take the listener's point that there's a benefit system. I take that, but I think you're remarkable. I mean, really.
But, when it happens, you just get on with it. You've got no choice but to carry on. But for me, I just don't think this GoFundMe page is the right way to go about it.
I can understand that.